Welcome and thank you for joining us today. Here we are on Thursday, March 19th. We'll be underway in just a couple of minutes. They've changed the format again with this webinar, and I don't have the participation view schedule for the members that are on the call. Hopefully you're going to be able to get on this, but if not, you'll be able to watch it in the recording process. They're doing some major upgrades and updates to Webinar Jam, and it's always something new. I hope that everything goes well. Well, we're 1 minute away from getting started. We have, let's see, a very, very clear blue sky today here in Santo Domingo. And it has been a super busy week. Wonderful things are happening. I did have a little health challenge on the weekend and ended up in the hospital for a little bit of time, but have recovered and feeling pretty good. So onward and upward. We've got lots of work to do, and we've got wonderful things happening, and we'll get started in probably about 30 seconds. What do you think? Okay. So hopefully people are being able to get on, and I just don't know where you guys are. Oh, we have one viewer popped in, so I guess that's going to signal the fact that you are getting on board, but I wouldn't know how to see you or speak to you. I guess I'll have to go back to the drawing board and study how this is working. So let's get started. It's the top of the hour, and I want to give you some updates on today's webinar. News, info, and updates. I think we need to go over to the Financial Hope site. So let me get that up and operational, and then we'll get the sharing of screens. So we should be ready to go. Oops, problem loading a page. That's not good. There we go. Okay. All right, let's share screens to get that one started off. All right. All right, yep, okay. I thought I saw something change again, but no, we're okay. All right, so here we are. I want to go down to the 2015 news section. We'll get started with that. Things are happening all over the planet. Here's some interesting news for your reading pleasure. Hopefully you've already read this, but I'm going to read it again. The United States government just went from, please baby, don't leave me, to frustrated threats and whining after the UK announced it will join the new China-led Asian Infrastructure Investment Bank as a founding member late last week. Now, Germany, France, and Italy decided yesterday to follow Britain's lead and join as well. Wow, this is really major international happenings. So welcome to the beginning of the end of the US dollar's domination. It's definitely happening. For the past few decades, America was the undisputed global economic and political superpower. The entire world happily used the US dollar and hence the US banking system. More importantly, the world happily placed its trust in the US government. But there's a limit on how much irresponsible, reckless, and threatening you can be. Eventually, such behaviors catch up to you. That time has now come. The U.S. government is now drowning in debt. It can never be repaid. The U.S. government's own numbers, in fact, estimate its level of insolvency is at roughly $60 trillion. This means that when you add up all the assets of the United States, every acre of land, every tank, every drone, every drop of oil in the strategic reserve, and subtract all the debts and liabilities, the result is minus $60 trillion. That's the net worth of the United States government. On top of that, the U.S. government has chosen to use its once trusted currency and banking system as weapons to blackmail the rest of the world. FATCA, should be Fat Cat, the Foreign Account Tax Compliance Act, is probably the best recent example. FATCA's provision requires every single bank in the world to jump into bed with the Internal Revenue Service and agree to all sorts of expensive, debilitating information sharing agreements. And any bank which dares to defy the US government gets effectively blackballed from the US banking system and subject to a 30% withholding tax. On top of that, the US government has taken to slamming foreign banks with astonishing fines. $9 billion, for example, in the case of French bank BNP Paribas. BNP's wrongdoing was conducting business with countries like Cuba and Iran that the US government doesn't like. Bear in mind, BNP is a French bank and broke no French laws whatsoever. Moreover, the business was done through its Swiss subsidiary, and they broke no Swiss laws either. That doesn't matter to Uncle Sam, which fined the bank $9 billion under threat of being kicked out of the US banking system. Blackmail, extortion, intimidation. This isn't the behavior of a trusted friend. It's the behavior of an arrogant sociopath. And the rest of the world is sick of it. Other countries, even allied nations, see that times are changing. There are new players on the rise, and the US isn't the only option anymore. Increasingly, they're turning to China, who by some metrics is already the largest economy in the world, and the US government can't do anything about it. This is happening now with increasing speed. It's mainstream news everywhere. The US is being shunned by its allies for the new kid on the block. This has major implications for the United States. History shows that when reserve currencies change, the losing country almost invariably goes through significant turmoil. But here's the thing, the world is changing. It's not coming to an end. Yes, things will change dramatically in the West in the coming years. The standard of living that was attainable in the US because of its economic dominance will diminish. For cues, look to Europe to see how unsustainable policies unravel when you don't have the backing of the world's reserve currency. But people who recognize and embrace these changes early will prosper, for there'll be tremendous opportunities throughout this process. Modern technology means that all of our lives don't have to be trapped within one single bankrupt country. You can move your savings abroad to safety. You can structure your business and assets so that you can keep more of your hard-earned income for yourself and your family. You can seek out investment opportunities out there that aren't subjected to chasing bubbles induced by world central banks. You can plan ahead and establish an alternative residency in a safe, thriving place, and perhaps even qualify for a second passport. Bottom line, the world is changing. We can't stop the end of the dollar's dominance. All we can control is how we react to it and when. This is real opportunity, either an opportunity to gain or an opportunity to lose. The choice is ours to make. So I'm telling you folks, we're at the pinnacle of being in a position to take leadership and show people a better way to do business. We have it all. We have the International Bank of Mia Kamui. What safer place can you have your funds and not be subject to the world central banking system? And yet you can use the funds that are there through our protocols and get Zcash on credit, or you can use the BVK, your choice. It depends on whether you want to work or whether you don't. I would suggest keeping that 5% interest compounding every month for future generations and go to work. And that's what we're here to talk about today. So wonderful overview from Simon Black. And I urge you to read it and pass it around. All right, so there we have our update on the overview of our 2015 news. All right, next thing I want to discuss, so let me just go ahead and kill off that, bring back Google Hangouts, stop that, and here I am again. Yippee, it worked. All right, so the next thing I want to share with you is something that's just so very exciting. 3 banks have accepted promissory notes. Isn't that amazing? 3 banks have accepted them. Bank of in Texas accepted promissory notes for collection. The party presenting it, having power of attorney, placed it for the beneficiary and received a collection receipt. So they handed over the promissory note, and the people of Bank of gave them a collection receipt. This is significant. I'm telling you, folks, the world is changing. In another case, a member used a Regino promissory note to purchase an office building, and the seller of the office building had the significant debt to 2 banks. And so he really couldn't sell it until he got those debts looked after. So promissory notes were presented in a way to address that debt on behalf of the seller. The buyer, who happens to be a very senior member of the Internet Catalog Club, happens to be a bank president. Anyway, he went with the seller to the banks and helped in presenting the promissory notes to the 2 banks, and the banks accepted the solution, and in one case agreed to receive the promissory note in exchange for providing the seller a CD, which obviously will be used for trading. In the other case, the promissory note was simply accepted as payment for the debt outstanding. Now, these are 3 different banks who have moved forward to accept promissory notes issued from the various LLCs that we have set up. I'm telling you, that is history in the making. I don't know when you're going to be believing, but I sure do believe. I see it more and more every day. We actually have another financial institution that said that they couldn't take the promissory note directly. They would be able to loan against it, and from that loan, create the CD. So I'm telling you, it's really coming together. Now, we also have some more good news. Bull Ideals LLC is now ready for business. Yesterday we had our first official meeting, and I want to thank Kenny G from Oregon for his outstanding efforts in building the relationship with John P., the attorney, who has 25 years as a member of the California State Bar and also is a former judge. Had a chance to talk briefly at the group meeting and hear some wonderful things that he's already putting together as his attorney law firm is going to help in tax collection. So it's pretty exciting. He's going to use the protocols and has direct access to tax issues. So that's pretty exciting. So we're definitely attracting some very credible people, and this should provide you with a comfort zone to proceed with all of our protocols. I mean, we've got Scott in Pennsylvania. We have the attorney in Texas. We have John now in California, and working with another gentleman, Alex, in Monaco. And we're just setting up an agreement with him, and hopefully we'll have that completed, promissory notes issued, and we'll be paying him in advance for his services. And then we'll be using the protocols we're going to talk about today, making the bank an offer that it can't refuse. And he's going to go after some of the banking contacts that he already has. Now, this has been really exciting to see happen. We've been granted permission by La Strada LLC to create the promissory note for that prepayment of legal services. And other Bright Star Work Center members and myself are working with banks to present an offer they can't refuse. And it's getting better every day for us. And those that are working the protocols, it's getting really exciting. We've got several new members on board who have been referred by active members. And I would just suggest look in the mirror and say, how am I doing? And if you're not getting the results that you want, you need to take a serious look at these protocols and make them your reality. So we're going to move now to go and talk about some of the other protocols. And the first one I want to review, I think we worked on last week, but I don't know, it's a blur. So let's talk about the facts, just the facts. So let me share screens again. And I want to spend some serious time on this. All right, the facts, ma'am, just the facts. March 12th, 2015. So we might have done this last week. We might not have. Are you old enough to remember the TV program Dragnet? Title of this document is taken from Joe Friday. It was his trademark comment in every episode. Following that lead, let's take a look at the facts about how receiving a Regino LLC promissory note or a Lastrada or a Bull Ideals LLC promissory note can change a business. Zcash and chips. Our notes are immediately collectible by transfer of ownership of an Internet Catalog Club account containing Zcash equal in value to the face amount of the note to the lawful beneficiary of the note. So the banks looked at that and said, you're right, that could be done. Now the following definition provided by the USA IRS, Zcash and chips are forms of convertible virtual currency. We're going to come to this at the end of our program should we have time, but really the long and the short of it says virtual currency may be used to pay for goods or services or held for investment. All right, so that's the IRS talking, and they're also going to tax you, and you need to read that advisory so that you better understand the taxable issues holding Zcash and chips and promissory notes. Thus, when ownership of Zcash account underlying a promissory note is transferred to a lawful beneficiary, the note has been paid. You understand that? And I know most of you don't. You hear it, but you don't internalize it. Once the ownership of the Zcash account underlying the promissory note is transferred to a lawful beneficiary, the note has been paid by law, done. As per the above linked document, the IRS does not tax virtual currency until is it exchanged for goods or services or is it converted into a sovereign currency. However, as to whether or not transferring ownership of Zcash account to collect on a promissory note constitutes a taxable event, it's recommended that a tax advisor be consulted. But since our promissory notes are maybe also alternatively be collected in sovereign currency, why would anyone want to select the transfer of ownership of Zcash account as the means of collecting our notes? Well, there may be many reasons, but a very important reason is that Zcash may be used to acquire a new promissory note. This is powerful. So go and review D30. When thus used, paying for the product that is resold to obtain a new note with Zcash causes the Internet Catalog Club to register chips of equal value in the account that has held the Zcash. And the chips may be used to obtain another equal value note. In other words, using Zcash to obtain a new note can provide two equal value new notes. However, unless specifically negotiated to be otherwise, this process is limited to a one-time event for each initial note processed. Okay? But the benefits should be obvious. That is, each initially received note, when collected by transfer of ownership of Zcash account, can provide double the value represented by the note. Therefore, it is recommended that a promissory note from one of our LLCs or be held without collection until sovereign currency funds are needed or until exchanging it for goods and services. And when collecting or exchanging a note, it's recommended that the note first be doubled and then the two new notes be exchanged for goods and services or currency in another mode. Or you can hold one and exchange the other. However, consideration should be given to the fact that in order to process Zcash and chips to obtain new promissory notes, an administrative fee valued at $5,000 USD must be taken care of by acquiring and allocating tickets USD. Well, if we're talking millions of dollars, what's another $5,000 to double and get $20 million of dollars? It's a no-brainer. Now, this fee may be funded by doing club-related business. So for more information on this, consult with Bright Star Work Center. We can show you how to be paid to share this great information. Now, another thing that should be done immediately when you receive your promissory notes is to create a certified financial statement, bank verification, and it provides a purchasing opportunity. When one of our promissory notes is received, it's recommended that a first step be to have a CPA, Chartered Public Accountant, prepare a financial statement showing the note as a cash asset. A certified financial statement can serve to obtain commercial credit to buy goods and services to be resold for profit. Remember, commerce is all about buying and selling of stuff. And you make profit when you buy and sell stuff. For example, manufacturers have been known to provide credit to distributors equal to several times the net worth of the distributors based on the distributor's certified balance sheet. To further bolster the validity of the financial statement, a note holder may wish to lodge the note without collection with a financial institution, so the institution may provide verification of value. And this has also been done, and here's the example. Regardless of the jurisdiction of the note holder, Regino notes or equivalent may be lodged in escrow with the private bank Fides in Monterrey, Mexico, directly by a note holder, only if the note holder and jurisdiction are acceptable to Fides. I hate to say it, but anybody living in the US, you can't do it. But anybody outside the US, you can do it. So I can do it. All the folks in New Zealand and in Australia, in Bali, South Africa, England, Holland, they can all consider doing that if that's what they want to do. And so they can also contract through a surrogate for the note holder. Now, a note holder that is positioned to merit commercial credit with suppliers may also register with Employee Gold and read D17 on that. Now, once registered as indicated, a note holder may function as a purchasing agent for Fides clients as per D17. And this is a huge opportunity for any and every business out there that wants to operate as a purchasing agent. Additionally, having registered with EmployeeGold.info, a note holder could apply for an upfront payment in Zcash for a one-year period to pay employee expenses and could use the Anything store to obtain Zcash to pay suppliers. Go read D13. Now, the power of becoming involved with BrightStar Workcenter is that it's recommended that each and every one of you that get your $5,000 together, you want to put together $175 extra for your application fee for Employee Gold. Zcash, so obtained, may be used to obtain initial issue of promissory notes, also accruing equal value in chips that may be used to obtain initial issue of notes. And these notes may be doubled in value by collecting through the transfer of ownership of the underlying Zcash accounts using the Zcash and subsequent chips to once again double the value. So there's a pretty powerful opportunity, and for any of you that are considering using the LHP retail administrative fee of $5,000 to get your promissory notes, you'll want to be reviewing some of these wonderful Employee Gold submissions that we're having right now that are providing another $30 and $40 million to the people that are participating. So in short, doing business this way can cause phenomenal multiplication of income. However, it's important to always consider that fees must be paid to execute the process to obtain promissory notes through the commercial exchange methodology. Let's talk about motivating suppliers to accept Regino notes or equivalent. Our promissory notes may be legally used to pay for existing debts with suppliers and or to negotiate new business with suppliers. If a supplier is a USA firm, indebtedness to the supplier may be used to be paid using a Regino note or equivalent. And so again, payment refused, debt discharged, that is any debt in the United States. However, as with negotiating new business with suppliers anywhere, suppliers outside of the USA may gladly accept to be paid existing debts with our notes if a note holder properly presents the concept to them. And that's certainly what's happened this week with those three financial institutions. Now, this is a pretty important story. When I first read it, I didn't get it. And the second time I read it, I thought I got it. And it was the third time that I read it that I finally did get it. So I suggest that you got to go over this a few more times. Ever hear the story about the most intelligent mule in the world? As the story goes, during the Depression period of the 1930s, a traveling salesman was driving up Highway 1 in California. He saw a sign on the side of the barn that read, "See the most intelligent mule in the world, $5." The salesman couldn't resist, so he drove into the farm and parked in front of the barn. The farmer was doing odd jobs around the barn, and the salesman said, "I would really like to see that mule," and as he handed the $5 to the farmer pointed to a path around the barn and says, "The mule's behind the barn." The salesman took off down the path, but shortly came back and said, "That mule doesn't look any smarter than any other mule." The farmer responded, "Wait a minute." And he picked up a 2x4 short plank of wood. The farmer, with the salesman following behind, went to where the mule was and hit the mule between the ears with the plank. The mule's ears went straight up. His eyes opened wide. His tail shot out, and the mule began hee-hawing loudly. The farmer, while taking an apple out of his pocket and feeding it to the mule, said, "Sometimes you just have to get his attention first." Now, I read that and I thought, okay, that's kind of cute. And what I missed was taking the apple out of his pocket and feeding it to the mule. I didn't see that the first time. I saw it, but I didn't see it. You know what I mean? Now, the moral of the story is applied to suppliers is that before a note holder can expect suppliers to be excited about taking promissory notes as payment, the note holder should get their attention and make sure they're fed. So you can prepay using promissory notes for their services. That's what we're doing with the attorney in Monaco. We're prepaying for his services. And then we're going to give him the tool, which we're going to be looking at next, which is to make the bankers an offer they can't refuse. So he'll have great success being able to present the offer they can't refuse and therefore follow through with his promissory note for his prepayment and ultimately bring his note to the bank for collection. And so that'll open up for everybody to be able to use that financial institution if they're in that general vicinity. So a note holder might do that by introducing suppliers to how they can obtain very significant rebates for purchases and employee-related expenses over the previous 12 months. See D32. Now, D32 is giving you 100% rebate on all your wages and all your purchases. And I'm telling you, folks, there are going to be people out there that are going to pick off some of these huge, big suppliers. Overstock.com, Amazon, are online facilities that do tons of purchasing. How many employees do they have? No clue. But look at the regular retail facilities that are out there. Walmart, Kmart, JCPenney, all these big retailers that are laying people off, but still are buying millions and millions of dollars worth of products to be sold. They need to hear about this, and you could be paid handsomely for your efforts. Because of the income a note holder may enjoy by sponsored suppliers paying the USPIS contract fee related to the rebates, as well as the opportunity to then buy from the suppliers paying with our notes, a note holder might significantly benefit by creating a new line of business using independent contractors to call potential suppliers all over the world. When finding suppliers syndicated, a note holder functions as a purchasing agent, may present products and services which the supplier offer to Texas Holdings, Inc. to be resold. A principal owner of Texas Holdings, Inc. is a FIDUS client. When Texas Holdings, Inc. resells products and services, it does so by using these low-cost, high-value products. And we have several there now, more coming. And so you can also look at acquiring LHP retail without automatic reselling, because this can allow buyers to acquire items without paying for them, with out-of-pocket funds, and receive, in addition to the items, income equal to 40% of the value of the items. Many buyers might be very interested in that, right? Which means that suppliers, as well as note holders, functioning as purchasing agents, can take advantage of using related business to build significant new income streams. Additionally, by undertaking business as indicated, a note holder can be assured of collecting in sovereign currency the value of notes accepted, as the need may be arising. Because of the THI Business Compensation Plan, this is all possible. Now, exchanging our promissory notes through banks, well, that should be the last that you think about doing. Experience has shown that the tendency of almost all note holders is to want to run to a bank and convert a promissory note into a sovereign currency bank deposit. Hopefully, a review of the information presented in this publication to this point might persuade note holders that although it's definitely possible to use notes to do business with banks, that should be considered as the last option to be exercised only as may be needed. However, if a debt is owed to a USA bank, it may be paid or discharged as per payment refused debt discharge. But even in the event of payment is presented to a USA bank, when approaching a bank, it's advisable to first apply the intelligent mule parable. Wake them up. All right. So that is present the information contained in Employee Gold, D33. A series of other documents that may be useful are found in the promissory note section. Plus, it's important to present the following: the IRS advisory and the payment refused debt discharge. So all of these documents need to be embraced so that they can better understand why they want to get involved with our promissory notes. And since our notes may be adjudicated only through the court indicated in the note, which is the same court as indicated in the referenced publication, it may be important to present the Texas Federal Magistrate reaffirms ruling that Bitcoin is money. It might also be helpful to have an attorney first talk with the legal department of the bank so that their own attorneys may instruct the bankers as to the advisability of doing business related to our promissory notes. In conclusion, there is no question that virtual currency and promissory notes have opened a new paradigm for business, and learning new ways always causes some pain. For example, there's an advertisement put out by General Electric showing how new ideas are born ugly and hard to accept, but can turn into things of real beauty if nurtured. But can you imagine competing with businesses that are able to totally offset their employee-related expenses and be paid for buying instead of having to pay to buy without following suit? Can you imagine a bank trying to compete with other banks that have been able to establish a sound financial position by contracting to earn more money in the future unless following in the same path? Particularly since other businesses and banks are already going down this path, and today no one is limited to doing business within a particular jurisdiction. The tsunami of economic system change is already on its way. And it's better to surf the wave early than to be buried by it later. That's the facts, ma'am. Just the facts. All right, so embrace this information, internalize it, make it a part of you. Now we're going to take a look at make your banker an offer he can't refuse. And you'll find this employeegold.info down the very bottom, lower left-hand corner. There's the link to it. And I have a Word document that I've modified this slightly so that you can send it out because it'll be personalized to the banker rather than just letting them read this third-party information. But we'll start here because this is the official protocol. We always need to make sure that we conform to the official protocol. So by now, many bankers have at least heard about virtual currency, even if they have no idea of how to integrate it into their business structure. Many bankers also know that an instrument that a bank can work with is a promissory note. In fact, practically every banking operation is based on one form or another of a promissory note. Even those little green papers that the people in the United States use, those Federal Reserve notes, are a form of a promissory note. Our promissory notes are structured to wrap virtual currency, Zcash, which has been around since 1996, which has that long history of commercial use and has withstood the test of federal court proceedings wherein the U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission presented evidence that supported value and use thereof in a bid to have Zcash chips ruled to be securities. That 6-year litigation terminated with a consent decree and final judgment wherein it was stipulated that neither party prevailed and no guilt was assigned. Our promissory notes are issued under the signature of an attorney acting as a secretary legal counsel, who is also an officer of the court by virtue of registration in the jurisdiction where the promissory note is incorporated. Our promissory notes are also signed by the treasurer, who is also the president of the private bank Thetis, which bank holds large value on deposit within the HSBC private banking system. Our promissory notes are immediately collectible by lawful beneficiary requesting the transfer of Zcash of equal value to an Internet Catalog Club account owned by the lawful beneficiary. Our promissory notes are also collectible by the lawful beneficiary requesting that Regino provide documentary funds to be used as the basis for professional licensed traders to obtain profits by engaging in transactions involving U.S. Treasuries. The documentary funds to be provided by Regino may be instruments guaranteed payable by Thetis, which guarantee is supported by specific values assigned by Thetis to a set of documentary funds. Alternatively, the documentary funds to be provided by our LLC companies may be collateralized by deposits made in banks selected by the lawful beneficiary, which bank must also be acceptable to our LLC companies. But irrespective of the legal and financial backing for our notes, a particular bank may not wish to engage in business related to the notes because it's not something the bank is currently doing, and it may not wish to undertake this new line of business. However, a member of the Internet Catalog Club has one or more promissory notes. It also has a secret weapon which can be used to make a banker an offer he can't refuse. Or if the banker does refuse, the member will know that the bank itself either has undisclosed reasons apart from the notes to not accept the business, or the banker may not be thinking with sound business logic. A little aside here, understand that the banker that says no has a fiduciary responsibility to the shareholders of the bank. So if it is a publicly traded financial institution, he better know what he's doing before he makes that decision to say no, to not take on a wealth management contract over 10 years to receive $1 billion of profit. I'm telling you, I would be talking very kindly to the shareholders and let them know that, wait a second, this individual doesn't have your best interests at heart. In which case, the member is encouraged to find another bank or use business other than banking to collect the note. Now, there's lots of banks out there, and even though we've only had one bank that I know of in Australia that has said no, it's because we were talking to underlings. You don't want to be talking to underlings. We want to be talking to decision makers. So the secret weapon is that the bank may be offered a 10-year wealth management contract with House Services. You can go and review the contract in detail, and it's there for the banker to see. A little bit about House. It's a Texas, USA firm that is wholly owned by Texas Holdings, Inc. Through the wealth management contract, the bank will commit to undertake any transaction that is legal, profitable, and without risk that House may present, through which both House and the bank will equally benefit. So it's a 50-50 split of profit. Upon signature of the wealth management contract by the bank, House will have Texas Holdings, Inc. provide a Regino promissory note valued at $2 billion or less, as may be negotiated, paid to the bank as prepayment for $1 billion US or less, as may be negotiated, worth of services to be rendered. The overpayment will be returned to House through 50% excuse me, of funds collected by the bank. Using excuse me, using the notes being deposited in the bank into an account owned by House or owned by a House surrogate with the jurisdiction of the bank. The collection of the notes will not diminish profits the bank may obtain through transactions that House may present to be executed as per the contract. In short, the notes are prepayment for the bank to undertake the contract, and their value is not deducted from income derived through the contract. That is huge, folks. That's $1 billion. What banker doesn't need to shore up assets of the bank to make depositors more comfortable than to receive $1 billion on deposit in profit? What shareholder doesn't want to see an additional $1 billion in profits? I'm telling you, Mr. Banker, you need to be very serious about this. So once a bank has indicated interest, a contract can be prepared by House and presented to the bank. However, USPIS, a Collins County, Texas, doing business as, has exclusive right to present such contracts on behalf of House, and USPIS charges $35,000 for that contract fee, payable as shown below in the USPIS contract fee agreement. To make that payment, a bank must accept a membership, free, in the Internet Catalog Club and use that membership number to execute the payment as indicated. The USPIS contract fee payment also, although dwarfed by the benefits offered to the bank, should cause a bank to do thorough due diligence on the use and value of the notes, as well as on the contract with House before engaging the contract and paying the fee. The $1 billion US or less may be negotiated. Prepayment for services should be attractive enough for the bank to apply the time, the effort, and dedicating qualified legal and business professionals associated with the bank to do a proper and thorough analysis of the proposed business. The USPIS contract fee will be paid by acquiring and allocating Tickets USD as indicated. For purposes of total disclosure, the use of the USPIS contract fee is described below. USPIS contract fee use. When Tickets USD valued at $35,000 are allocated to USPIS as per the USPIS contract fee payment, USPIS will arrange for, number one, an allocation of Tickets USD valued at $5,000 USD to pay the fee required for the retail LHP processing. Number two, increased from $1,000 to $11,000 for the amount that the sponsor may receive by processing chips as per LHP Retail Administrative Fee Promotion Compensation shown in D31. Now that means you that are listening right now, by bringing a bank on board, you will be compensated $11,000 USD, and you can process your chips to USD. That's immediate. Number three, an increase from $1,000 to $6,000 for the amount that a center may receive by processing chips. That's what I get for coaching you to do it the right way. Now, if I do it myself, that's 17 grand. Folks, that's not too shabby. Wouldn't you agree? Now, isn't it worth to learn the skill sets necessary to be able to properly present this to a bank? Now, this is a limited opportunity. It won't last forever. We won't be doing it forever, because once we've got the banks on that we need, then banks are going to have to pay a larger amount to get on board. So study up, learn, discern, and participate. Now, what I've done is I've created a Word document. So let's get that up. And it's virtually the same thing, but it's personalized. Dear Mr. Smith, by now you may have at least heard about virtual currency, even if you have no idea of how to integrate it into your business structure. You may also know that an instrument that your bank can work with is a promissory note. In fact, practically every banking operation is based on one form or another of promissory notes. So as you can see, it's all been slightly modified. It's still the guts of what we just read, but it's got you in there, your bank, your people, and it comes down and it does show the template. It comes down, talks about the $35,000 fee, but it doesn't go into the split outs and share portions. Thank you in advance for your continued interest, and please contact me for a more complete overview with our senior advisors. So your job is to get this to the senior bank officials that can make decisions, and then you can rest assured that Gary and Eddie and Mr. B will be there to support bringing the bank on board. You win, we win, they win. I'm sure that they can easily afford $35,000 to get $1 billion. And if they can't, again, I think we need to look at the fiduciary responsibility of that financial institution. And we might want to gain one share within that company and go to their public relations department and ask some serious questions as to why that the banking leadership has turned down $1 billion when it's legal, lawful, ethical, and very profitable to the shareholders. And we just need to make them aware that you need to talk to your senior officials. I'm telling you, folks, we're in a very powerful position, and we would like to work with these banks, and they need to work with us. Understand? Great. All right. So we've got that. It'll be up on the website this afternoon, along with the webinar, of course. And hopefully you saw that. If you didn't, you'll be able to see it on the documents. Now we've got the last few minutes where we're going to talk about USPIS tools. Rebate script for personnel department, rebate script for purchasing department, and rebate script for chief financial officer. This works for any and every business out there. Some of you that are real go-getters are going to make a fortune, because remember, this $35,000 fee is for anybody who wants rebates, 100% of their purchases and 100% of their employees. They don't have to pay 35 grand twice. They get the 100% of both their employee wages and benefits. They get 100% of all their purchases. And so you need to read these scripts. You need to memorize these scripts. You need to internalize these scripts as an actor or actress would learn their lines for a play or a movie. All right? It's so simple to do, but guess what? It's just as simple not to. And if you don't do it, you won't have the success. But it's really a slam dunk, because you could sit on the phone all day long calling to the personnel department of a company. Then when you finish with the personnel department, you go and call the purchasing department, and then you go and call the chief financial officer, all of the same company. And you get a buzz going on within the company. And here's how simple it is. There's obviously a gatekeeper. That receptionist answers and says, and you say, my name is Gary Holmes, and I'd like to speak to somebody in personnel, please. And they don't transfer the call. Thank you, goodbye. They transfer the call. My name's Gary Holmes. I'm calling on behalf of the United States Purchasing and Employment Services to inform your company that you may receive full rebates for all employee-related expenses incurred over the past 12 months. To whom and or to what email should I direct my letter, providing the information regarding these rebates? Okay. Now, if the person and personnel comes back and won't give the name or email address for the letter, thank you, goodbye. You don't need to beg people to get 100% rebate. All right. You want to find people that are open-minded, and you might just suggest that you could be a real hero, as the people in personnel, the human resources department, don't get a chance to be a hero too often. And if that person understood that they could be bringing 100% rebate, that would definitely make them a company hero. So again, if they give the name and the email, thank you, and who am I speaking with, please? Will not give name, thank you, goodbye. Gives name, thank you, goodbye. I mean, that's all simple stuff. You just gotta practice and drill and rehearse with a buddy. So I'd team up with somebody, and I personally would, if I was doing this on a daily basis, which unfortunately I don't have the time to do, but I want to do because it's worth 17 grand to me. But I'm here to help you get the success that you need to get your promissory notes and get them processed. So, okay, what would you like to know? If they want more information before giving out their name and email, this is perfect. This is just a great overview that sums it all up that we've never had before. Who is United States Purchasing and Employment Services? Its official name is USPIS, and it's a sole proprietorship located in Collins County, Texas. USPIS operates through the internet. And USPIS has an exclusive contract through which rebates for purchasing and employment expenses may be requested. USPIS facilitates the administrative process. The rebates are provided by Texas Holdings, Inc., a Nevada corporation that operates out of Friendswood, Texas. And the rebates are provided courtesy of the Blue Millennium Foundation. The Blue Millennium Foundation is registered in Panama and functions through the internet. They're serving a worldwide business social network of commercial enterprises known as the Internet Catalog Club. Banking for the foundation is managed through a private bank, Fides, in Monterrey, Mexico. You may contact USPIS through USPIS at Change 2100. There's all you need to say. Now, if they don't give you the information, thank you, goodbye, done. All right? So can you learn this? Can you tailor make it to yourself, but keeping the flow? If it doesn't flow for you, then modify it slightly so that the words flow smoothly. You also address yourself as a consultant for USPIS, United States Purchasing and Employment Services. I'm calling as a consultant, independent consultant, on behalf of United States Purchasing and Employment Services to inform your company that you may receive full benefits, 100%. I'd add in there, personally, it wasn't there, but again, I'd add that in there. All right, so that's the first script. That's for the personnel department. The second script is virtually the same. So once you know one, you know the second one. And you're just going to be talking to the purchasing department. Same script. If I could show you how to get rebates, full rebates for all purchasing related expenses incurred over the last 12 months, to whom and to what email should I direct my letter, providing the information about these rebates. All right, same. Now, here's the other thing that you can do, is you can start at the top and go to the Chief Financial Officer. My name's Gary Holmes. Could I speak to the office of the Chief Financial Officer, please? Won't transfer the call. Thank you. Goodbye. Now you're at the personnel, transfer call to personnel at the Chief Financial Officer. My name's Gary Holmes. I'm calling on behalf of the United States Purchasing and Employment Services to inform your company that you may receive full rebates for all employee-related expenses and for all purchasing-related expenses incurred over the past 12 months. To whom and to what email should I direct my letter to, providing information about these rebates? So you're just talking to the secretary at this present time. Thank you, goodbye. Thank you, who am I speaking with, please? All right, so now you want to get to that person. And it's the same. Simple, sweet. Now, it's called Do the Numbers. Now, I want you to understand the importance of doing numbers. I haven't said this for a while, but I think it's time for a quick refresher. The parable of the sower, you may have been taught in Sunday school. You may have heard me talk about it in webinars of past. And it's so important for you to understand that the parable of the sower, which is God's law, works in everything that you do. It's also called the Pareto principle, the 80-20 rule. Now think about the parable of the sower. It goes something like this, paraphrased. The sower is out there sowing seed. He plants some seed, it falls on shallow ground, sprouts too quickly, withers and dies. He throws some more seed, it's picked up by the birds. He throws out some more seed, it's on thorny ground, gets choked by the thorns. Throws some more seed, it's washed away by the rain. I don't think that one's in there, but it's a good one because it does get washed away. And finally, he throws out some more seed and it comes to fruition, 30, 60, 100-fold. How long has that been going on for? Answer, forever. Now, if you looked at what we had, shallow ground, thorny ground, washed away, picked up by the birds, and fruition. That was 5 different things. Well, 4 of the 5 were failures. The seed died for whatever reason. But the 5th provided the success. That's 80 failure, 20 success. Now that works when you're making calls. 80% of the people will not participate. That's why you'll see in these scripts, it's very quick to move on. They don't want to help you. Next, you've got a gold mine and they're not prepared to listen about how to get a shovel. Shame on them. So this could be used for the bank. So you can take your promissory note to the bank and they say, we don't take promissory notes. Oh, okay. So what do? You pick up the phone. Do you think the bank has a personnel department? I think so. You call and use the script for the personnel department. Do you think the bank has a purchasing department where they buy stuff for the bank, computers and paper and safes and cabinetry and all kinds of stuff? You're darn right they do. So you pick up the phone and you call the purchasing department and you make the same presentation to them getting 100% rebate, and you do the same with the chief financial officer. Do you think they have a chief financial officer at the bank? Of course they do. And so you make the same call to them as you would to any other business, because they're all businesses. They're in business to make money. Now the interesting thing is that when they say, yes, we want the 100% rebates, guess what they're going to get? A promissory note. And you think they'll want to process it within their own bank? Or do you think they want to take it somewhere else? Because you see, they can process promissory notes. I'm telling you, folks, it's a slam dunk. It's an offer they can't refuse. And if they do refuse, I don't want to make their life ugly, but I might. You might. Somebody might. A shareholder certainly might. Think about that. All right. Pretty powerful stuff. Now, a couple of things I wanted to point out in the IRS. We're working with Scott, Eddie and I personally, to tighten up the information that we send out. Scott being an attorney, but also a very entrepreneurial minded individual. He's thinking on both sides, the legal side of things and the marketing side of things. And that's rather unique. And I'm super excited that he has that mindset. And so he would like us to really focus when we're talking to people about using Section 2 background and using that first paragraph when we're explaining what it is we do. Because obviously, everybody knows who the IRS is, the Internal Revenue Service. They don't know who owns it or controls it, and that's another story for another time. But the fact is, the IRS says and is aware that virtual currency may be used to pay for goods and services or held for investment. Virtual currency is a digital representation of value that functions as a medium of exchange. Now, you need to go back and study what is money. It's available in the protocols. And if you can't find it, Skype me and I'll get it for you. A means of exchange, a medium of exchange. It's not a dollar, nor is a Federal Reserve note. Now, I take umbrage to their description, but they're the IRS. They think they know everything. It's a unit of account and or a store of value, which it is. Our Zcash has already been proven in court to be $2 US to 1 Zcash, and our chips are 1-to-1 to a, quote, US dollar Federal Reserve note, really. In some environments, it operates like, quote, real currency. That's because it is real currency in my mind, but not necessarily their mind. So again, we want to stick to their definition. Example, the coin and paper money of the United States or any other country that is designated as legal tender circulates and is customarily used and accepted as a medium of exchange in the country of issuance. But it does not have legal tender status in any jurisdiction. Well, having said that, that's fine. It's comfortable. But when you go to see the other information that's put out there by the judge in Texas and the California wording, that it is legal tender. But Scott wants us to stick with this. He said virtual currency has the equivalent value in real currency, or that acts as a substitute for real currency is referred to as convertible virtual currency. Zcash is one example of a convertible virtual currency. Zcash can be digitally traded between users and can be purchased for and exchanged into US dollars, euros, and other real or virtual currencies. Is that not the case? So that's a very safe, comfortable definition that Scott, our attorney for Lastrada, is very comfortable with. Now let's take a quick look at payment refused, debt discharged. Now I've had a few people say, well, you know, how does this work? Is it only good in the United States? Yes. This is the USA States Uniform Commercial Code, and we've got some people doing some due diligence about how this affects through the United Nations Ancestral Convention, whether it has value in other states and countries. But for now, let's focus on this for the United States. And it's very clear. It says, A, if tender of payment of an obligation to pay an instrument is made to a person entitled to enforce the instrument, the effective tender is governed by principles of law applicable to tender of payment under a simple contract. This covers everybody in the United States, whether it's a bank, whether it's a government, whether it's a corporation, or whether it's person to person. So if you owe somebody money, you can pay them with our promissory note with the Zcash wrapped within. And if tender of payment of an obligation to pay an instrument is made to a person entitled to enforce the instrument and the tender is refused, there is still discharge to the extent of the amount of the tender of the obligation of an endorser or accommodation party having a right of recourse with respect to the obligation to which the tender relates. Done deal. Now, we never, ever want to stick somebody with a promissory note that they have no clue of how to collect on. And so you have to understand it is your obligation, a moral obligation, to make sure that you fully understand the terms and conditions that you will find in I'm sorry, I thought I had it here. Here we go. It's not there either. I was looking at it earlier. Isn't that amazing? Retail OHP, let's go there. Here we are. Okay, so each and every one of you have to read, understand Regino LLC, which covers all the other LLC special terms and conditions. You need to go through that and understand it. We're out of time. I want to thank you for being here today. I would hope you'll take action. I know many members are, and we appreciate your business. We appreciate you bringing new people to us, and we are going to have Jubilee this year. For those that work the program, follow the protocols, do the work, you will be out of debt, and you will have wealth beyond your wildest dreams available to you to build businesses, to help people, and to secure the future generations of your family. Great success in all that you do and are about to do. Make the right decision to join forces with us and make this world a better place. Great success, everybody. Thank you so much.